Can everybody hear me? All right, good. My name's Stuart Schmallenberger. I'm a fire inspector in Island, the local fire department here. And Heather invited us after the last fire drill in October to come here and talk about fire wardens. So I'm guessing everybody in the audience has volunteered to be a fire warden within the complex? Who was ordered by the boss to be a fire warden? Who volunteered? All right, good. So, for whatever the reason, who wanted just to get out of the office for an hour or so? John. So, we're just going to do an overview of what a fire warden is, as well as what your duties should be in the case of an emergency. Typical building here at Woodbridge Corporate Plaza is, you have 6 buildings?
6 buildings, 4 stories.
4 stories tall. So this is a typical building here in the complex. Okay, John. So again, my name's Stuart from the Island Bureau of Fire Prevention. I've been a state certified fire inspector since 1988. My job primarily now is fire inspector, so I do building inspections. My past, I was a retired deputy chief from Plainfield, and 30 years as a firefighter in Plainfield. I like to say I spent 30 years putting the fires out. Now I try to prevent them. No more putting them out. Getting too old. Good, John. What we'll cover today, we'll talk about the emergency services here in Woodbridge Township, some about my office, and also mainly why you're here, what you need to know, and what you need to do in case of an emergency. So Woodbridge Township, brief overview. Population is approximately 100,000 people. It's divided up into 10 sections with 5 political wards. Metro Park, the area we are at now, is part of Island. It's almost like it's our own city. There's a Metro Menlo Park Terrace where there's housing. The main part of Metro Park is the train station and all the office buildings here in the area. There's 1 police department here in Woodbridge. Office of Emergency Management, which will cover hurricanes, major emergencies. There are 4 first aid squads, which is really good. Volunteers, there's some, but mainly during the day, there are paid EMTs. So, very good ambulance service. If you call 911, request an ambulance within a couple minutes, they're here. And in Woodbridge, there are 9 actual fire districts. So there's 9 different fire departments in Woodbridge Township. And 2 of them are actually located here in Island. There's my department, which is Island District 9, and then there's District 11 on the other side of the railroad tracks. They formed 2 fire departments when the railroad, and there was just a crossing. So in the concern of getting apparatus to either side of the tracks or the freight train coming in, they formed 2 different districts. When they built the overpass, we kept the same 2 fire departments. So. Each fire district is governed by fire commissioners. There's 5 fire commissioners that administer the 9 different districts. There's 11 stations here, fire stations in Woodbridge. 4 are actually located here in Island. We have our firehouse, main headquarters is on Green Street by 27, and we have another one in Menlo Park Terrace right off Route 1. In Woodbridge, there's combination career and volunteers. My department is strictly volunteer. I'm one of the few paid employees of our district. And other districts have some paid, some volunteer, some fully paid. There's 23 engines, 6 aerial trucks, and 6 heavy rescue vehicles in the township. And you're as far as the manpower and the apparatus in this town, you're protected like the city of Newark. There's a lot of equipment in this township. The township is very proactive. Among the fire department, we have special operation teams for trench rescue, building collapse, and as well we have mutual aid coordinators who are located throughout the township that help keep track of all the different units that would respond to a emergency scene. Yeah, John. So my fire prevention, there's my boss who's the fire official. His main job is to make sure the fire code is being enforced. 2 full-time fire inspectors. I'm one. The other fire inspector you've probably seen around at the fire drill you've had in the past, you're doing fire inspections, is Mary Bausch. And our office is located at fire headquarters on Green Street. I'll put these on the table later, but I brought my business card. If anybody has any questions on what we're covering today, you can email or call us in the office. So our job function within the Bureau of Fire Prevention, we enforce the Uniform Fire Code by doing building inspections. These buildings here, we do a mandated inspection 1 time a year, and most buildings throughout our district, it's an annual inspection. We also do fire scene investigations. Every fire we have to investigate. We do that through our office. Parking enforcement, fire lanes around these buildings. We do plan review on any new construction. We do a juvenile fire watch program, which is a referral program for children who are fire starters. And we do public education, schools, and also programs like this. Just say we have 2 fire stations here in Island, 35 volunteer firefighters, 3 engines in our department, 1 100-foot aerial truck, a air truck, a rescue truck, which is mainly used for car accidents. The Parkway seems to be our biggest customer. And just the other day, within an hour, we responded to 3 different car accidents. So we keep busy that way. We have 2 chief vehicles. The chief and his deputy chief all have a vehicle that they bring home, so they're able to respond from their home. And if you ever want any more information, that's our website, islandfire.com. So what you would have come into your building if there was a fire alarm here. This is a typical response during the day. You've had fire alarms here, we've had elevator emergencies. So what you would see is the chief officers come with their vehicles, 2 engines, which are a pumper, an aerial truck, a pumper from Island District 11. We have a mutual response with the 2 districts. So even though it's 2 separate departments, we're really one. Fire inspector, you see myself and Mary respond here. An ambulance is automatically dispatched, even for a fire alarm. They come just to be proactive. Normally a police unit is dispatched as well. And if it is a confirmed fire, then what we would call a full first alarm. Basically, you would have initially double this coming to the scene. All right, so fire wardens, this is why we're here today. Why are you needed? Get it, John. So reflex time. Does anybody give me an estimated time from the time of an incident, the time the fire alarm goes off, and how long it would take for us to arrive here
John will know.
and deploy our firefighters in the building? Anybody have an idea? 15 minutes? 5 minutes?
7 minutes.
7 minutes splitting the difference? So 15's a little high, but 15, probably between 10 and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is the reason why. The event occurs. So,
Yeah, I thought they were good.
so I'll explain why. Actually, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. So here's what has to happen. So we're in the building, you have an event occur. So let's say a fire starts in the closet down there. So the fire's burning. The event is detected. So either a occupant of the building finds the fire, or it gets big enough where the smoke is gonna activate a smoke detector. So if the occupant finds the fire, what are you gonna do? If you see a fire in the building, what are you gonna do?
Evacuate.
Okay, but how are you gonna evacuate?
Fire alarm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then how are you gonna activate the fire alarm?
Call John.
So in every hallway there's a pull station. There's a red pull station in the hallway by the stairwells, red that says fire. Pull that and you'll fully activate the fire alarm. So the fire alarm's activated. So the signal will go from the building to the central station monitoring company. They'll receive it. Fire alarm building F45 Route 1 South. So now what they have to do, they have to call our 911 center. So the central station will call 911, report we're getting a fire alarm at this location. The 911 center is at police headquarters. The fire dispatchers are all the way over in Ford's, a whole different building. So they'll enter it into the computer, and then that call will automatically go to our fire dispatcher at Station 7. They'll take that information. Now, we're a volunteer department, so we normally don't have firefighters in the building. So then they'll activate our pagers. Every firefighter's carrying a pager. So they're either home, at work, or whatever. Now they have to get into the cars and respond to the firehouse. So they'll get to the firehouse, find out where they're going, put on their gear, and then the response will start coming this way. In the meantime, as I said, the chief has a car at his house or with him all the time. He'll respond for wherever he is to this location. So normally you'll see a chief's car arrive here
First.
In the meantime, as I say, EMS, if they're on the road, they'll get here, the police will get here. The chief will do a size up. He'll see what's going on. Do a 360 around the building. If need be, he'll come inside or get a report from security. And then from there, he'll assign his firefighters to the floor or wherever the problem is. And then the firefighters will make their way, once they arrive, they'll make their way up to the floor, okay? So a lot goes on. So 10 minutes, 12 minutes. During the day, I'll say that there's a lot of guys that are hanging around the firehouse. Probably be a lot sooner, but probably average is 10 minutes. Our department's kind of backwards. We have a lot of kids, and the kids don't seem to be working. So they're around during the day, but then they go out at night and they go to bed, whatever they're doing, go to bed, and they don't like to get up in the morning. So our main response is during the day. That's when we get the most manpower. Night, So
Yes.
here's the definition of a fire warden. So I'll just read it. Fire wardens are assigned to each floor or space within a building to ensure that all people are aware of an emergency situation. Fire wardens direct the evacuation of their assigned floor to the nearest emergency exit, checking to ensure that all people have left the area as they themselves exit the floor. Fire wardens prevent people from using elevators and help ensure an orderly and safe stair evacuation. They want to enlist help to assist any disabled person and direct people to the building's assigned evacuation meeting areas outside. And this is the most important one here. We're not asking you to put your own health and safety at risk. All right, so what you're going to be doing, you just want to get your people that are assigned to you up, out, and evacuated. All right, don't want you to go over and above. So again, don't put yourself at risk. If you feel that you're at an area that is that's very hazardous, we want you to evacuate. Okay, just do what you can do. So what do you need to know? Our department is looking forward to working with all building tenants. So what we try to do is we try to come out to the high rise. We have a lot of high rise buildings in our district. These aren't high rises, but there's a lot of people throughout the whole complex. So we like to work with the fire wardens, give training, hopefully annual type of training. Us as firefighters, we familiarize ourselves with your buildings. We, as I say, we've been here for past responses, fire alarms, elevator emergencies, and so forth. A lot of fire alarm malfunctions in the past, but they've been, I probably jinxed it now, but.
We have a lot of construction coming up, so.
Yeah. But we're also big on pre-fire plans. We'll go out and we'll do a walking tour of the buildings, you know, see what the type of occupancies are, what's in the buildings as far as fire alarms, sprinkler systems, standpipes, and so forth. So our firefighters know these buildings very well. And again, we are well trained in strategy and tactics in office buildings, in high-rise buildings. Actually, in this area, there are 8 high-rise buildings in our fire district. So we're very familiar with the operation of these. And we always There's an emergency evacuation plan for each building, and we always say every occupant should be very familiar on what they should do in the case of an emergency. All right, everybody should be on the same page. So fire alarm devices, as they say here, is the fire alarm pull station. So if you come across the fire, smoke condition or so forth, and the fire alarm is not activated, if you pull that down, pull that black lever down, you'll activate the entire fire alarm. So everything will go off. And what that will do, again, I will notify everybody in the building that there's a fire, emergency, start evacuating, and also will be notified by your central station monitoring. Smoke detectors are located throughout the buildings here. And here's the noise. That's where the horn and strobes. And as you know from the fire drills, they're pretty loud. So, and you see in this space here, it's not occupied yet, but they're located around this whole floor. So, spring into action. So you need to be recognizable. So I gotta say, after doing a lot of these programs, never had a property manager do this where they provided this right away with a gift bag. So you got the hat, the vest, and it should be a bright vest, and flashlight, and a little first aid kit. So,
And the whistle.
and the whistle, very good.
It's in there somewhere.
Somewhere.
So that's the first thing. You must identify yourself as a fire warden. And this is the handbag here. This is the tool bag. Let's go back there 1 second.
I know, we'll get whoever's missing.
Go. You hit the arrows, I think. So, I mean, everybody has their own color, but as I say, bright color, red is perfect, all right? And as you say, I mean, everything's covered here. They have an emergency kit, whistles,
I didn't think of the light stick.
bullhorn I would like to see with with
us.
your staff.
We'll order some.
Right. You got the hand light, and also a nice air horn. That would,
Anyone
That
that's
with the
missing
fire
a
alarm?
flashlight, let us know, because we know we were short shipped.
Yeah.
We'll get them to you.
So this is it. So this should be near your workstation, up at your workspace. All right. So what's your duties? In the case of a fire alarm, you want to evacuate your area. Get the people moving. I haven't done it really here, but in other office buildings, I've gone up to 8th floor, 9th floor, and just to watch what happens during a fire drill. And it's amazing. You know, fire alarm goes off, and a lot of workers are on a phone call. They're still going on the phone call. I'm talking 3 or 4 minutes before they'll start moseying along. Got to finish off the email. Got to finish putting the sugar in the coffee. I mean, there's no hurriness at all.
There's people that hide under the desks.
Yes, and actually, I was doing a fire drill
Who's
one
here?
day, and we were checking the ladies' room and the men's room. When we opened up the ladies' room door, and there were 2 guys hiding in the stalls, you know, with their feet up. I thought I'd seen everything since then. So you want to start getting the people moving. You know, if you see the people trying to finish their
wanna go?
emails or phone calls, get them moving. Get them going to the nearest stairwell. No elevators. All right. In case of emergencies, fire or whatever, no elevators. In this building, we would not even use the elevators to get up. We would use the stairway. All right. As you're going down the stairs, you want to try to keep your people to the right, because once we're coming here, we're going to designate a firefighter stairwell, and that's a stairwell we're going to have to come up. So if everybody stays to the right, we'll go up on the left, our right. As you're doing your search, you want to check all the rooms, all the offices, including the ladies' room. All right, doors are closed, you want to knock, and then this should be rapid, all right? And also look at, people are also wearing headsets. They might not be able to hear the fire alarm, or they could be working near loud equipment, all right? So you just want to get the process going, get them moving, and get them swiftly out of the building. Go ahead, John. All right. You should have a list. So you should have a clipboard of everybody who's in your space, everybody who's you're responsible. So it's your job to be accountable, to have them accountable to you. So once they're out, you should be checking them off, out of the building. If somebody's missing, then that has to be reported to us. Also, handicapped people, special needs people, if you can't get them off the floor, that has to be reported to us. All right, the most important, we always say, for a handicapped person is somebody should stay with them. If you can at least get them to a stairwell, a protected stairwell, where they can stay there with their buddy, that would be great, and then let us know, and we'll continue the evacuation. Sometimes on a fire, moving them down one floor would bring them into safety. You don't have to get them entirely out of the building. Make a note if you're evacuating and you see smoke or you see fire. Report that to us, because that's important to us on how we're going to operate at the scene. Once you get down to the ground level and you're in the lobby, don't stop there. Because what happens if people start stopping in the lobby and talking, that's clogging it up. So we want to just keep it all open. Outside will be from property manager, their designee, who will have a different vest. Green vest, yellow vest. And you should report to them and let them know I'm from third floor or whatever, Acme Mortgage Company, and all my employees are accounted for, or I'm missing somebody. All right, and so what happens from there is your rep would have this clipboard and write off
Which tenants?
Right. And so when we arrive, when our chief arrives, he'll talk to the one person.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he'll be talking to your rep.
I have a question.
Yes.
Earlier you said to notify you if we have notify the fire
Mm-hmm.
if there's a handicapped person that's in anybody's stuff. Shouldn't we just go down and notify the management representative?
Yes,
Instead
absolutely.
of trying to find a
Right,
fire?
that's, yeah, if, what, you need to communicate all that to the building rep, who will then give that information to us,
We
absolutely.
also have the forms that everyone should be filling out that have the handicap, it has a handicap form, so we know who's
Where
handicapped
you
and
pass.
yeah.
With our computer system, if we know areas where handicapped people might be, what we're trying to do is put that into our computer system. So prior to our response, we would
already
know that, on the whatever floor in a building, that there could be still somebody up there. All right? All right, John. So once you leave the building, there should be a designated meeting place on the exterior, away from the building. Just like we teach kids when they have a fire in their house and they leave their house, them and their family should meet at a meeting place. Whether it's at a house, we always say, either the next door neighbor or the tree in front of the house, but here as well, because once everybody is assembled in their spot, the fire warden can double check, do a roll call, and see if everybody's there. A lot of times during a fire drill or a real event, people will evacuate, and they might hop in their car, leave, or they're speaking to their buddy across the parking lot, and we're being notified they're missing, and we're doing a search in the building for somebody who's actually outside. All right, so it's good to double check, meet at the meeting place, and make sure everybody's accountable, as it's accounted for. All right. So as part of this training, an additional training you'll receive, it's important to be proactive and just know what you're gonna do before the actual emergency is here. So remember, when fire alarm sounds, if you're not prepared to act, it's already too late. All right? Any questions so far? Good.
I have a question.
Yes?
So when the fire alarm is pulled and it goes to some central station and then they have to call you, why doesn't it go directly to you? Like, you know what building is the fire alarm's coming off on?
Right.
Why doesn't it go right to
In
the
the
fire?
old days, the old
Used to be like
dispatch buildings, used to be a dedicated telephone line that would be, wired right into police headquarters. That system got old and antiquated. In today's day and age, the amount of people on the municipal
many.
level that would be needed to maintain that and monitor that, it would be astronomical. So the actual central station monitoring it's an improved method. All right.
So that's better than going directly to the fire station?
Yeah. And I'm talking that actual scenario of signal to central station making the call is not a long duration, it's quick. Because if every fire alarm and burglar alarm and carbon monoxide systems, if they were all tied into the 911 center, it would
Crash.
it would crash. So, and then, and even home systems, I mean, there's thousands of them out there. So, all right, so as far as going back to the evacuation and getting away from the building, so all the meeting areas should be away from the building.
Bless you.
Bless you. Bless you. A lot of fire drills that we do are real fire alarms in office buildings. People get out and they think they're out. So they'll be kind of hanging out by the lobby door, talking, but actually they're in a fire lane. So you're gonna have a 10-ton truck coming your way. You don't want to be in the way. And also, if there is a fire, there's gonna be glass falling from the building, a lot of debris. So chances of being injured are significantly higher. So get away from the building. So all the meeting areas should be away. So any questions about the duties of a fire warden at all? Good. So fire extinguishers. This is a typical extinguisher that's located throughout your buildings here. You'll see them in the standpipe cabinets. This is actually our where we would hook our fire hose to. And in each one of these cabinets is an extinguisher.
Every building has one of those?
Yep. Correct?
Yes.
Except
Yeah.
the hose.
Except the hose.
We took them
There's
out.
no hose in there. The hose has
Okay,
been
I didn't
removed.
recognize,
Yeah.
from where we are, I didn't recognize that.
I could show you where it is.
So the only items in here that you would be using is the extinguisher. The outlet and the fire hose, that's strictly for us to use. That's how we'll deploy our hose lines. But there is a fire extinguisher, a handheld fire extinguisher in each one. And the philosophy in the fire service has changed over the years. Used to be, we would teach the occupants to fight the fire. You know, if fire was big and you're going through extinguishers, have a fire brigade or so forth to be there to hold back the fire. The mindset has changed. Our main priority is to get you out of the building, to evacuate. But we always say, if in your office there's a small garbage can fire or a small electrical fire, you can give it a shot with the extinguisher. I recommend it, but if it doesn't go out right away, leave the building. So it's just one quick shot. If you extinguish it, great. If you can't, get out. We don't want you going any further in the suppression of the fire. So the acronym for an extinguisher is PASS, P-A-S-S. It's 4 easy steps to use one of these extinguishers. You would pull the pin. All right, you got the pin here. Pull it. You have the nozzle. You would take the nozzle off. You'd kill me if I did this now, wouldn't you? All right, and you would approach the fire, and you would aim the nozzle low at the base of the fire. Squeeze the lever. Once you squeeze the lever, then the extinguishing material will come out, and you want to sweep it. But again, if it goes any longer than this, drop the extinguisher and get out of the building. And I was talking to the property manager here, and we do offer fire extinguisher training, where we would actually have pans of flammable liquid, light them on fire, and everybody have a chance to use the extinguisher. So maybe later this summer or fall, we can set something up.
That sounds good. Mhm.
All right? Get you out of the buildings and you get to play with fire.
We get to play with fire.
So, it's good. I mean, once you use it, you'll be able to fully understand how it works and how to use it.
Seriously, I have to smoke.
Any question on extinguishers? I know we spent about only a minute on it, but, all right, John.
We'll have more training with it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So fire drills. Once a year, we come and we supervise a fire drill at all the buildings. It's normally October,
Mhm.
and this is where we really get to practice what we're learning today. Normally, we do it the first week of October during Fire Prevention Week. And what's good with that is we get a lot of our volunteer firefighters to come out and help us. And so what they'll be doing is they'll deploy throughout the building, and they'll monitor, how the drill is going. They'll also, see how the fire wardens are doing. And then if people are being a little stubborn coming out, they help move them along. So,
Sorry, I have another question.
yes,
That pin is on there with a wire tie.
yes, it's
Do
a
we
zip.
have to carry scissors to?
No, if you pull that, it's gonna break the.
It's gonna break the wire
Yep.
tie?
Yep, it's plastic.
I know what wire ties are, and
Yeah.
they don't usually break that easily. but-
Yeah, these are designed to break.
Okay. I understand, I just don't wanna be sitting.
And what this is it's a way, the visual inspection, when John and his crew go through, the visual way for them to see that nobody's tampered with the extinguisher.
Okay.
Just a quick. So with fire drills, advance notification to the occupants. I'm not a great fan of that. I like to be surprised, because that's how you really see how everybody operates. But at least I would say the advance notification should go to the fire wardens,
Mhm.
and then just have it in there, don't pass it on to the other employees. We were doing a fire drill at a high-rise building about a year ago, and we were supposed to be there at 1 in the afternoon, pulled up, and 3/4 of the building were outside. It was a nice day. I'm like, why are we even doing this? Because everybody knew about it. They were coming back for lunch, and they're like, why should I bother going upstairs when I'm going to get called down again? So that was like, we're not doing it today. So fire wardens can issue passes. If there's somebody, an essential employee that just really can't leave the building, so we would allow a pass to be used in that. It should be on, and the whole complex should be on the same color system, should a bright piece of paper, just saying fire drill pass or whatever that
We could make
put on
something
a
up.
cubicle or so forth. But again, that should be kept to a minimum, but we understand. Should be treated like an actual emergency, all right? And that's the element of surprise. If people really don't know if it's an emergency or not, they'll treat it like a real emergency. Prior to 9/11, doing fire drills, really nobody cared. It was a big nuisance, and trying to get a real good fire drill and getting people to cooperate was tough. 9/11 happened, and then all of a sudden people's awareness realized what could happen, and people were really compliant after that. But now it's been 17, 18 years, and people forgotten, and now we're just getting to the nonchalant phase again. So, and that's where it's important, where your duties come in, to really enforce the importance of the drills, emergencies, and to have a quick evacuation. If during the course of a drill or an evacuation, real emergency, note any problems, you can contact your property manager. We'll get in contact with us, or you can contact us directly as well, the fire department, and we'll address them. Sometimes there would be a critique afterwards, and if we did hold a critique, we would be there representing the Bureau of Fire Prevention, and we would ask that the fire wardens attend as well, all right, to go over the good, the bad. Okay, John. So on this end, any questions, comments, concerns? Cool. Yes?
In these commercial buildings, what are the most likely materials to actually burn? It seems like a lot of building material these days are, fire retardant or whatever.
In a office building like this, it would be your ordinary combustibles, so papers, cardboards, wood desks and so forth. Electrical, there's a lot of electrical juice runs through
Space
these
heaters.
buildings.
Space heaters,
Space heaters,
it's a big problem.
that's, you bring up space heaters.
The building around the corner burned down, people.
If it was up to me, I would say no space heaters should be allowed
They
in
aren't.
buildings like this. Every property manager handles it different, but the fire code does allow and it has to be, there's very set restrictions on what the type of space heater and where it can be used and so forth. But there was a fire on 33 Wood Avenue South, 2014, that actually was caused by a space heater under a desk. It was after business hours, and the fire actually started on the second floor, spread to the third, fourth, and fifth floor, but damaged
The entire
the entire building. So, yeah, space heaters, again,
We
I
don't
like
allow
the
'em.
property manager saying none.
We don't allow them.
Right,
People
so-
do them, but we
Yep.
say no, we get rid of them.
Right. But that's primarily what would be burning in these buildings. The construction is normally of a fireproof type of construction, so it wouldn't be the actual buildings. It's the
Structural steel and glass.
Yeah, it's the contents that would burn. These buildings are not sprinklered fully.
Partial.
Right, it's a limited area, partial systems.
This floor is sprinklered.
What's that?
This floor is sprinklered.
This floor is sprinklered. So I think as the new if people leave and new businesses come in, you'll see it retrofitted up to a sprinkler. But unfortunately, at this time, it's not a fully sprinklered building. But you're protected by the fire alarm systems. So, any other questions? Yes.
You said that we have to check the bathrooms, but our office does not have a bathroom. We only use the outside bathroom. Do we have to go to the overall bathroom and check?
You know what? If you're a fire warden, that's right. The bathrooms are
Common.
probably in the common. So a fire warden passing that on the way should give a quick search. Either a quick knock or just stick your head in. Any other questions? All right. They say what we'll do is October, we'll be here for the fire drill, and we'll practice, see how it goes. We always get a good amount of manpower on our end to come out here and do the drills, especially, Building F that had maiden form in it? Our guys like going to the maiden
Yeah, they did.
floor where all the models were and stuff. That was always the highlight.
Yeah,
And grown men cried when they moved out of here.
yeah.
Stuart?
Yes.
I got one question for you. So after fire alarm goes off, we evacuate the building, we go to our rally points, we take a head count. Who announces an all clear to go back in the building?
So the all clear would come from our officer in charge, which would probably be the fire chief. He's the only one. So whoever there is chief, captain, or a representative from the fire department, he'll be the one who will give the all clear, and everybody can come back in the building.
Is it done with like a blowhorn or something like that, or?
What we would do is we would let the security guard know, or whoever has the bullhorn, the property manager, whoever's in charge, property management end of it, we'll let them know. And then we don't want everybody coming in at once.
Yeah.
It should be really one floor at a time. Start working our way up. All right, because what happens, people start cramming in. Everybody's all excited to get back to work. Yes?
The rallying points outside, does each fire warden determine those, or is the?
That
does the
would
management
be,
company
that would be
determine?
determined by the property manager.
We can work that out. I have site plans, so we can mark locations for each tenant. We can meet with each fire warden and determine where everybody wants to meet.
Okay.
The, we've already done it.
Good job.
We had to do it.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of property managers will stencil
Mhm.
in the parking lot, the location, by floor or occupancy. Even signs can be installed outside.
John and I
But
will
it
talk
should-
and we'll figure out something.
Yeah, it should be marked out.
Okay.
And then it really should be part of your emergency plan, and then everybody, all occupants of the
Okay.
building should know
That's easy.
where they're going. All right. All right, so if everybody has a few more minutes, there's a video. I think it's about a 10-minute video I'd like to play. It's a program called Fire Is that we're really trying to push, mainly among school children, middle schoolers. And it was developed by Dr. Frank Field. Does everybody remember who Frank Field was? Yeah. So Frank Field actually is still alive.
Yeah, on Channel 11.
I thought his name was
Yeah.
Stormfield.
That was his son,
His
Stormfield.
son.
So when he was with CBS News, he did it back in the 70s. He did a report on New York City firefighters, and he was just amazed on the amount of fire deaths that were going on in the city, amount of firefighters dying in the line of duty, being burned, and so forth. So he wanted to really see what it was like to fight a fire, and he met up with at the training academy in Manhattan, and he went through an actual live burn with all the gear and so forth. And he was amazed what the conditions were like inside of a fire, where the amount of heat, the amount of smoke, not being able to see, easy to in your own home to get lost. So he ended up, and he was very upset, and especially the U.S. being ranked as #1 in fire deaths in the world. So he developed this program, and it's a five video program. So I say it's designed for school kids. It's really designed to be part of the curriculum of a student, and it's also designed to have a parent sit down with a student and go through the videos and testing with them. Because what it is, most parents don't really know about fire safety. So it's teaching the kid and also the adult in the house. We're trying to get this back into the school system here in Woodbridge, and it doesn't take up any class time because everything's done at home, and the teacher would have the ability to monitor the status of the students through the website. So hit the one more slide. So it's called Fire Is, and it's all online. It's at www.njfiresafety.com. You do not have to be in the schools to sign up for this. You can go home and sign up your child or yourself. And once you sign up, you'll take a pre-test. They test your knowledge on fire safety before the video series. And again, these videos you can go one at a time. Once you're all done, then you would take the final test. So I'm going to play one video. It's called Fire Is Black. Hopefully, if I can get this DVD to load.
Field. My dad, Frank Field, and my brother Storm and I have been television news reporters for many years. And the saddest stories we've had to cover are the ones involving children hurt or killed in fires. Sometimes the kids were playing with matches or lighters. Sometimes it wasn't their fault at all. We made this program to show you the danger of playing with fire and to teach you fire safety lessons so that you'll know what to do if there is a fire. Now, you may believe you already know all about fire safety because you've had fire drills at school, or sometimes firefighters may have come to talk at your school. But listen, because there's a lot more you need to know. My dad and brother put on special firefighting gear to learn firsthand the dangers of fire. One fact that they learned and want you to know is that fire is black.
Hi, I'm Frank Field, and this is my son, Storm. Now, we both work in television news, and we decided to report on why so many children are hurt playing with matches, or setting fires, or being trapped in a real fire at home.
We found out most children are not aware of the dangers of fire. And now we want to tell you some things about fire which you may find hard to believe. For instance, if I asked you to describe fire, you would probably describe it as bright yellow flames, or bright light, or hot flames. But a real fire is often much different.
This is what you probably think of fire as like. It's easily controlled. It's nice and warm with pretty flames. And sure, you've seen the firefighters dashing through the flames in movies and on television. Well, in a real fire, it's not that way at all. In the movies and on television, they have to have lots of light, so you'll be able to see the actors dodging flames. If the movies and television showed you what it would really look like in a fire, this is what you would see. Nothing, just blackness. You would hear only noise and burning sounds, and that's what really happens in a fire.
So what they see on TV and in movies is not how it is in real life. In real life, you can't see anything.
It might be red in color, but a fire in your house or apartment, it's dark, it's black, it's smoky. You're not even going to be able to see your hand in front of your face.
When something burns outdoors, the smoke from the fire has lots of room to float away. There's plenty of fresh air, and so the smoke doesn't seem dangerous. But when there's a fire inside a building, the smoke is trapped. At first, the hot smoke and gases rise to the ceiling. There's still plenty of air and light at the floor. Then as the fire grows, there's more and more smoke. It turns thicker and blacker at the ceiling. If you were in this room, you would have to get down low to stay out of that layer of choking black smoke. Down on the floor, there is air you can breathe and you can still see. So if you were in this fire, you would have to get low and get out quickly. But with every second as the fire grows, the smoke begins to lower, fills the room, and before you know it, you can't see a thing. The entire house and all the rooms filled with this black, blinding smoke. People who have been in a fire describe it this way.
It was just pitch black. As black as there weren't any windows in the hallway. And you couldn't see a door.
It was so black that you could put your hand like this and not see it. Down on the floor, you could see. It's about 8 inches off the floor. You could see that smoke rolling.
I have 2 exits in my apartment, but both the smoke was so thick you could not see in there. I lost everything. It was real black. You couldn't even feel it. You didn't see the flames. All you seen was smoke.
This woman has bandages around her face, and she remembers how black it was in the fire that burned her.
And I had seen some flames shooting out from the kitchen, but it wasn't very large. And when I reached the dining room, there was an explosion and the whole room was in flames. I couldn't see, I couldn't move. The smoke is so black and thick that you can't see anything. It's difficult to breathe. I couldn't see my hands in front of me. I put my hands up to cover my face, but I couldn't see my hands. There's no visibility at all. I heard the fire trucks pull up, and they were in the house in about a minute, and they couldn't find us. They couldn't see, and they called to us. I could make a noise, and they heard me, and that's how they located us. And then they pulled me out, and then my mother.
So remember, while a fire may begin with bright flames, that doesn't last long. In minutes, smoke from the fire will fill the room. The flames disappear in the thick black smoke. In a real fire, you will see nothing. In a real fire, it's black. Now, Dad found that out when he joined firefighters who were learning how to put out real fires. And it really frightened you, didn't it, Dad?
I have no idea how black it would be when I went into a real fire. Now, we videotaped my experience, and I'm going to show you how I got completely lost inside the building when it became so dark from the smoke, I couldn't find my way out. First, I put on a firefighter's mask and air tank so I could breathe fresh air when I entered the burning building. Listen, you can hear my loud breathing inside the mask once I was in the dark, hot, smoke-filled room.
I'm going to stand here for a minute to see what I'm hitting something. Okay, I can see what you mean. I have to feel around. But let me just turn toward the camera. I can see a light over a camera, and you're about, what, a foot away from me. You're less than a foot. You're right on top of me. I can't. There, okay, I see the front of the camera. Now I'm going to turn back toward the fire. I feel the heat is coming. Now, I just walked into the wall here. It was like being an astronaut in space. Yeah, I didn't know if I was upside down. I'd never find the door. Okay, I can feel the wall. I just can't imagine how terrible it would be to be inside a room like that without anyone with you.
So, you just saw what happened to Dad, and it could happen to you if there were a real fire in your home or in a building. When a real fire occurs, you won't be able to see. The smoke is often so thick, you wouldn't even be able to see your own hand if you held it up right in front of your face.
Watching a fire, you can see the black smoke pouring out of the windows. You can smell the nasty, stinging smoke. When firefighters rush to the scene of a blaze, they enter burning buildings filled with heat and black smoke. Inside the building, the firefighters face many dangers. They can't see. They have to crawl in the darkness to search for children and grown-ups who may be trapped. Even with all their training and bravery, it is still a frightening experience to be in total darkness and in the heat of a fire.
It's extremely dark, it's hot, it's scary.
I got lost in the apartment. I ran out of air myself, and I was at the point where I didn't know whether or not I was going to make it out.
Many times the visibility is completely zero. You're searching by touching, feeling, listening.
You're just totally blinded. You might as well keep your eyes closed.
You're not really sure where you are. Inside the fire, you're absolutely blind.
Despite the dangers, many lives are saved by the courageous firefighters who have to enter burning, unstable buildings, crawling through the thick smoke to find children who have been trapped in the smoke and fire. It happens every day. In this house, the 3 children who lived here were very lucky. Most of their home was destroyed by a sudden fire. 2 of the children were found quickly and rushed to a hospital for treatment. The 3rd, a little girl, was trapped. No one knew where she was. But a firefighter crawling through the black smoke saved her life.
As you're making your way towards the fire, it just gets hotter and hotter, and you can't see anything. There's thick black smoke. I knew I was going in the right direction because of the heat. It was intensifying. And that's when I come across this small girl, and it wasn't until I picked her up, actually looked at her, and felt the weight of her, knew that I had the 3rd child. It was nice to know that I actually helped somebody to live for another day, and they get to play and grow up and to become an adult and go on with their life.
When black smoke filled her room, 9-year-old Katie Kramer didn't panic. She knew what to do.
I was soundly asleep in my bed, and suddenly I felt something hot on my feet, and I looked, and my bed was catching on fire. It was black, totally black, and you couldn't see a thing in the room. I crawled over here and out the hall and got my mother and sister and father.
And you closed the door behind you?
Yes, I did.
As I awakened and came around my bed, I saw about a foot of gray, heavy, acrid smelling smoke coming under the sill, under the top part of our bedroom door. And I went out into the hall, and at the same time, Katie went in and woke her sister up.
My sister opened the door, and I could see a lot of smoke coming in, and that's how I knew that's how I was sure that there was a fire in Katie's room. And she grabbed my hand. She grabbed my hand, and I took a deep breath of what oxygen was left in my room, and I holded it until I holded it as long as I could until I couldn't hold it anymore, and then I breathed the smoke, and I ran downstairs, and I shaked my brother a lot, and I yelled in his ear, and I said, "Chris, wake up, there's a fire in Katie's room."
Without Katie's quick action, there would have been no warning. All would have died. You see, the smoke detector wasn't working.
The battery in my smoke detector was rusted to the mechanism. I never thought that this would ever happen to us.
I was very scared, but then I thought about how you don't be scared, because if you get scared, you get panicked, and you're not supposed to really get panicked, because then you won't know what to do and everything.
Whereas Catherine Kramer, who was 9 years of age, acted in a heroic manner.
For her bravery, and because she knew what to do and was not frightened by the black smoke, Katie was honored by the mayor of her town and her classmates.
Luckily, Katie knew what to do. She didn't panic. She crawled out of her room because she knew it was cooler on the floor. There would be less smoke and heat down on the floor. When there's a fire outside, the smoke from the fire floats away into the air. But when there's a fire inside a building, the smoke can't get out. It's trapped, and with nowhere to go, rises to the ceiling. As the fire keeps spreading and growing, the smoke gets thicker and darker. It slowly lowers towards the floor. If you stood up, your head would be in the thick smoke and heat. You wouldn't be able to see, and you wouldn't be able to breathe. That's why you have to get down low, under the smoke. Down near the floor, there's air you can breathe, and you'll be able to see. The next thing to do is to stay low and go. Get out as quickly as you can. That's what these children are learning to do.
Stay low. Notice you have air fitted down here, you can breathe much more easily. Keep it going slow. You got a little bit of air down here. You won't have any problem.
Now, to show you how important this is, we took a family into a fire training center. Then we set up a make-believe fire with plenty of smoke. Using a machine that makes fog and fake smoke that is not dangerous, and the help of a fire expert, the hallways and bedrooms in this make-believe fire became filled with smoke.
You're lost. You're in a closet.
It's not at all like the movies. You can't see. The result, had the Platino family been in a real fire, would have been a disaster.
I walked right past the doorway, I banged into the wall, and it was just totally at a loss. I was totally lost.
I guess I was surprised at how quickly I couldn't see. I mean, it was just, I had one moment where I just sort of like looked out, and I had a little eye contact with Samantha, and I caught Stephanie out of the corner of my eye, and then I couldn't see anymore.
Remember what Katie said when she woke up and found her room was on fire?
Black. I crawled over here and out.
Katie got down on the floor where she could see, where there was less smoke, and where it was cooler. What did the Patino family do that was wrong? Well, above this line, you can see the heavy smoke. Below it is cooler air and less smoke. So what should they have done? That's right. They should have gotten low.
Flame in the storage material room.
To learn what it would be like in a real fire, I went to a fire training school.
Right now I've got on your standard firefighting equipment. Boots, bunker pants for protective all the way up to here. I've got a jacket on. I've got a Nomex hood that comes up, covers my neck and across the top of my head. Got a helmet, and I've got a Scott pack on, which gives me breathing ability in smoky conditions.
Even though this was just a training exercise, it was still very scary. I don't think I would have been able to find my way out through the black smoke if I didn't have the help of trained firefighters. People don't understand. You're in a fire, it's black. You can't see. If you don't know what to do, holding that wall, following yourself around, if you don't know the floor plan, you're lost. So I learned that fires are not bright with flames like you see in the movies or on TV. Fires are black. If there's a fire, you won't be able to see, and it's important not to panic. Remember, get low and go. Get down low under the smoke and then crawl out quickly.
So there you have it. Smoke makes everything disappear and the room turns black. In a real fire, you won't be able to see.
So now you know that fires grow fast and give off so much smoke you may not be able to see a thing inside a burning building. You have to stay calm, like Katie did. Never panic, because now you know what to expect. You won't be able to see in a fire because of the black, stinging smoke. And you know what to do. Get low and go.
That's good. So Frank Field is still alive and well. He's in Florida, retired. I think he's in his 90s. His son, Storm, went on to be a volunteer fireman in Long Island, I believe. And I believe the sister, too, is also involved with the fire service. So if you have children at home, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, I ask to take a look at this program, go online, and as I say, everything's right there. At the end, you get a certificate. You don't have to be affiliated with a school. You can just do it yourself. So if anybody has any questions on the program, you can contact me as well, email, whatever. All right. Any other questions? I'd like to thank Heather for facilitating this meeting. I'd like to thank all of you for coming out here, and we'll see you in October for a fire drill day.
Thank you, Stu.
Thanks.